Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why can't I have Polaroid children? Children that will develop in front of my eyes in seconds. So I know right away if I made a mistake, if I need to shoot again. Oh, I want everything to be perfect. I want everything. I want it right now. I want everything to be perfect. I want it. I want it. I want it right now. Wanna make my dreams come true in seconds, boy.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love it. The things have to be perfect, or life isn't worth living, you know?
I mean, I get it. I get it. Yeah. So that was Morgan Bassicus, who is a performer. I saw their show, Can I Be Frank is the name of the show. I saw it at the Soho Playhouse a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, it's no longer showing. I went to one of the very last shows, but it was incredible.
Oh no. How long of a run did it have?
I think pretty long. I think it ran once and then stopped for a little while and then had a second run. But I heard about it like very late. And I took my friend Jeanette for her birthday because I had a feeling it would be up her alley, and we just literally laughed and cried. It was great. It was wonderful. And so I'll give you a very brief overview in a nutshell. So the name of the show
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So the name of the show is Can I Be Frank? Because it's sort of inspired by, informed by, haunted by this man named Frank Maya, who, like Morgan Bassicus, they're both performance artist, comedian, singers. And Frank Maya was pretty big in like the downtown scene in the late 80s, early 90s. And then in 1995, he died from AIDS related complications. And it was like months before the more effective antiretroviral drugs came out. And so he really just missed them by this very small margin. But he seems to have been quite an incredible performer and was hugely ambitious and wanted to be really big. And, you know, he wanted to break out of this. He wasn't content to just be in this downtown scene. He wanted to be like very famous. He apparently was the first out gay comedian to have his own like television special. So he was maybe on the verge of a breakthrough. And so Morgan Bassicus discovered Frank Maya when Morgan was at an artist's retreat, and they became extremely like obsessed and fascinated with Maya. And so this show is very much like their own. But it's also like haunted, I would say, is the word, by Frank Maya. And you know, they sometimes will do songs that Frank wrote, which is a clip from that's what we just heard. Anyway, I'll talk more about it later, but I thought it was
that was Morgan Bassicus singing a Frank Maya song.
Yes, Polaroid Children. And one of the things that unites these two performers, other than, you know, like perhaps some similar like skills and interests and sense of humor and all that, is that they both are very ambitious and want big things. And that's something that Bassicus like plays with a lot in the show and jokes about a lot. It's a big source of the humor, is their own kind of like poking fun at themselves for their own, you know, desire for fame. And Maya shared that, right? So yeah, so we're talking today about this topic of artistic ambition. So this is kind of the perfect opening, right? Like singing about wanting all of the dreams to come true and wanting to be perfect.
1, 2, 3. This is the Insufferable. Welcome to the Insufferable Bastards.
Welcome to the Insufferable Bastards podcast.
We're the Insufferable Bastards.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Geez, if your ambition is to be perfect, I think you're going to be disappointed for all of us, you know?
But we do like I think we're probably I'm sure you are too. Like I think almost everyone I know, I would say is very hard on themselves and, harder than another person might be to them. But particularly like creative people, right, tend to be pretty
Sure.
like self-lacerating. To what end, I don't
Yeah,
know.
at least it's a good sign, I think. I think if you're running around too happy about your work, it's probably something missing. I think
Yeah, but
oh, who was
but
it?
I don't know. But I also don't like I don't really go in for the tortured artist thing. Do you?
Oh, I think that like archetype is like so Bill DeRiesers writes about this in his book I forget what it's called, but it's about art in the modern age, and he writes about how Death of the Artist it's called. For people who want to pick this up. He talks about how that tortured genius of the 18th, 19th century is like passed away. It's really not
Mm,
like relevant anymore because of economic changes, historical changes.
yeah.
But it might feel a little obnoxious now, but boy, I wish we had some of that back.
Haven't
And maybe
you
we do in corners.
haven't you encountered tortured artists? I have.
Yeah, yeah, sure, for sure, for sure. But yeah, no, who was it who said, I can't remember who said this, but there's an editor who said when he had these writers that he worked with, he knew that if they were killing themselves about it and they hated it, it was probably going to be pretty good. If they
Hmm.
came in just chuffed and happy with themselves and threw the manuscript on the table smiling, he knew that he was going
Yeah.
to have a lot of work to do down the line.
I do think that is kind of a bad sign. Like if I'm feeling too good
Yeah.
about I'm feeling too good about something, too pleased with
Hmm.
myself,
Hmm.
that's probably not a good sign. But I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
I
Philip Roth said fluidity is he said if you're too fluid in your writing, that can be a problem. You have to stop. He said that in an
what
interview
do you think he
somewhere.
meant by fluidity?
Oh, if I think he meant I don't know how much I agree, but I think he meant like if you're just if you're too happy with yourself, you're cruising
Hmm.
along, you're writing page after page,
Mm,
and we've all done this. You write 10 pages, 100 pages, and then you go back. I
yeah.
mean, I remember an ugly memory is popping into my head right now of about 10 years ago when I'd written all this stuff, and then I found it and read over it, and I was like, oh my god, like you just
Yeah.
have this like panic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was old stuff, but you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I thought this was so amazing at the time.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
some self-awareness and self-criticism is absolutely necessary, but it's a road to get there, I
Yes. But
suppose.
if you can have that without actual, torture. Like I mean, it's something I tell my students. I'm like, look, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. Like this is not, it's difficult to write anything well. But if it feels like torture to you, I don't know. Maybe you should spend your time doing something else. Like hopefully there's
Yeah.
right like there's a lot of things you could be doing with your time that might be satisfying too and aren't also torture. So hopefully
Yeah.
there's like some enjoyment, satisfaction, dare I say fun,
Hmm.
like in it for you.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm big on encouraging people to do other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think people find it obnoxious, but I'm like, why do you have to be an artist? Why do you have to be a writer? You
Yeah.
know, especially if they're young. I'm like, look, you can do something else.
Right.
And I've had students myself, and they would ask me for advice, and I'd be like, look, do what every writer in history has done. Start studying for a career. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
medicine, whatever, business, something else. Law. Every great writer that we know and love had some other gig.
Right. Right.
Wallace Stevens was the president of an insurance company. Kafka,
Yeah.
I think, worked for an insurance company.
Philip
Chekhov was a doctor. Go
Larkin.
down
Wasn't Philip Larkin
Larkin. Yeah,
yeah, like a
I
clerk
think
or something, or a
he
librarian?
worked
Was
in
he
a
a librarian? Yeah, he was a
he
librarian.
worked in a library in Hull, which is like this depressing town in England.
It seems to
And
have served him like very well.
when you're devoted to something, you're not necessarily going to get the spoils, you know, uh, during
Well,
your lifetime.
that's yes, yes. So like, not only is it difficult work, it's also not remotely lucrative. So, my God, hopefully you're having some fun because
Yeah, you better be. Yeah.
that might be all you're gonna get.
And you know, I find also I distrust this like I hate writing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just too
Yeah.
if you're like you said, if you're too tortured by it, maybe you should do something else because
Yeah.
it's hard, but I don't know, it's hard in the way you put together a puzzle or
Right.
I don't know, something else complicated. It's like it shouldn't be like you're I don't know, you know, drawing blood
Right.
or killing yourself, forcing yourself to do something unnatural. If it starts to feel
Right.
unnatural, then I think maybe you should move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
It's not
yeah.
hard the way that like working on an assembly line is hard, or I don't know, insert any other job here truly. Like it's yeah. Yeah.
And Charles Bukowski wrote about working in a post office, which is a
Hmm.
job he was like dying to get because he was broke, living in
Yeah.
LA in the 40s or whatever. And it sounded like torture. Like this guy would sit there sorting envelopes and his
Mhm.
fingers would get all like, you know, I guess like paper cutty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's just like sweating in this shop, like sorting mail. And
Yeah.
um, it sounded awful, you
Yeah.
know, but then he would go
Yeah.
home and he'd write his poems and whatever one may think of his work. It's, you know, he had a substantial body of work. Um, that's, you know, that's one kind of ambition, the artistic kind.
Yes.
And you better have it because
Yeah.
otherwise, what are you doing in this field?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like though, I mean maybe it's perhaps like what we were talking about last time in terms of mediocrity, right? And are people not taking big swings the way they used to? And like do you think
Yeah.
that are artists shorter on ambition these days than they used to be? Do we have truly ambitious writers working that you can think of today? Yeah, or are the ambitions different perhaps than they used to be?
God, there are so many things that go into that question that I'm not sure sort of where to start
Yeah.
because to say broadly that there's no ambition, I just don't think is true. I
Right.
think I'm sure you have met writers, been impressed by their devotion or their creativity. We all know people who are good writers who just can't get a leg up. They can't get where they're trying to get, and maybe they moved into law or something, did something with their lives. And then there's just the bias, which is another word I hate. We should start making a list of words that we hate,
Yeah.
like community and gatekeeper.
And
But
bias, yeah.
bias is another annoying one. But you know, there is kind of a what's called a fad, um, a style. I actually just wrote a piece for Substack that's going to go out tomorrow, where I talk about contemporary style in a way that refers to a kind of psychic distance that people tend to have and a kind of lack of there's almost like this cynical irony. Maybe it's more of a DFW kind of commentary I'm making, but it's like it feels like there is an awareness around vulnerability,
Yeah.
you know? So it's more about amusing people, kind of astonishing them with your
Mhm.
craft
Mhm.
capabilities and in your effects, which can be good. A lot of that is
Yeah.
great. But it produces a a kind of writing that is kind of low on feeling when
Yeah.
you really have a kind of insight into the characters or the situation, the emotionality of it, I think. And obviously I don't mean happy, sad, mad kind of
No, no,
emotions, but
no.
you know, the more complex kind
Yeah.
of engagement with with the story and the characters in the story. So I would say that seems to indicate to me that there's like this uh uncomfortability with kind of putting yourself out there in a way. So
Yes.
there's a fear of it, and then there's a bias kind of against it, maybe in the quote establishment by the gatekeepers or whatever.
Right. Right.
And
Like
so we've produced a different kind of writing that is maybe kind of disappointing people at this point. And it's a past its due, you know, it's expired. So I feel
yeah.
like something new is going to come along.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I well, no, I mean, I understand what you're saying, like the ironic detachment from getting
Hmm.
to the heart of something, is something
Hmm.
that I
Hmm.
I feel like I see a lot in new writing, and I know there's this like fear of being cringe, right? Like this is
Yes.
it's something that's discussed a lot with respect to like Gen Z in particular, that they're
Mhm.
just terrified of the idea of being cringe. But to me it's like, well, you can't have real art without cringe. That's like a part of it. It's a part of it, right? Like I don't know what work of art doesn't have some like cringy. I mean, I suppose it's in the cringe is in the eye of the beholder, right? But it to me that's what comes with like ambition and like and taking risks, right? Is that there are going to be things in it that someone might find cringy, and like
Yeah. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I think it's a symptom of what's going on now, which is just a contemporary mindset that we have because of historical forces. We're here in history, and this is what we're dealing with. I don't think it's necessarily one thing or the other, but it even produces this idea of cringe, which used to be a perfectly useful word, and now you
yeah,
can't use it without sounding like a Gen Z person
exactly, yeah, yeah,
or like a whatever. And uh, I try not to see things through through the lens of cringe.
right,
I try to find work that I think is real in one way or another, and it may be real in that it's successfully ironic and successfully comic,
hmm,
and that's good. That's also
yeah,
very good. These Olipo guys who we're going to talk about in a minute,
yeah,
they were all about effect. They were about like um, uh, sort of experimental style and dynamic new ideas and crazy experiments in their work, and that can be good and it can be powerful. But there's just a kind of, I think that's why people turn to genre a lot, because they feel
hmm,
something in a thriller, they feel something in a romance,
yeah,
and a lot of people are also turning to classics because that's also where you feel things. You read Flaubert, which is one of his short stories, is what I talk about in that piece I just told you about, and you feel something for Felicite in that story.
yeah,
You feel something for her weakness and her loss and her shame, and I mean that's the furthest thing from cringe. It's like a powerful experience with
yeah,
literature. But I just want to read real quick just two or three sentences from my first book by Honor Levy, which is
okay.
kind of the style that we're talking about. Have you
Yeah,
read
I
this book?
haven't. No, I haven't read it, but I know that like there is this cohort of writers. I know it's her, and then the one who wrote Lost Lambs, I think, that got like all this press, and apparently that's kind of shares a similar style. I haven't read any of them, so I can't like. I'm not going to pretend
Yeah.
I can. Yeah. Anyway, but go for
But
it.
my first book, which even from the title, you get this like kind of back
It's
off feeling,
ironic. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
an ironic sense of, she's not going to put herself out there for
Right.
fear of being identified as cringe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the first story starts like this. This first story is called Love Story, and it starts like this. He was giving knight errant organ meat eater Byronic hero haplogroup R1b. She was giving damsel in distress pill popper pixie dream girl haplogroup K. He was in his fall of Rome era. She was serving sixth and final mass extinction event realness. His face was a marble statue. Her face was an anime waifu. Um,
Okay.
there you go. So,
Yeah.
stylistic, kind of dynamic,
Yeah.
virtuosic,
Yeah.
funny,
It's
but
funny.
also very much like don't get too, kind of I get this vision of like a blowfish. Like don't get too
There's
close to me
such
because
yeah.
I'm gonna harm you.
Yeah. 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 And also like everything about that language I think is going to be dated so quickly, right? Like, and maybe I don't know if that's part of it. I'm sure she'd factor that in, but
Hmm.
even just the like she was giving, he was serving, whatever. Like I feel like this kind of slang is going, if it's not already passe, because I don't know, I'm in my 40s, right? Like I don't know, but it's going to be dated really quickly.
Yes, and I apologize to our Gen Z listeners for reading your beloved author's work, who's very talented, but it's just
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure. Yeah.
we're in this stream of this cultural slipstream
Yeah.
that's taking us away from sort of feeling things, and so this blocks off kind of possibilities, I think,
Yeah.
in literary writing. But so what that leaves is the other kind of ambition, besides just pure artistic ambition, which can grind you down and break your heart and
Sure.
threaten your health and your relationships and your bank account. And then there's the career ambition, which, if you do it right, whether you're a good writer or not, or have any artistic ambitions, you can get pretty far.
Yeah.
But what kind of work are you producing? And I don't have anything against people who are more careerist. Famously Philip Roth was very much a careerist. I mean,
Right.
even Balzac was writing about careerists in his day.
Right.
I think Alexandre Dumas had basically a sweatshop where all these people were just pumping out pages for him, and he was like publishing books and like, I don't know.
Wow.
There's always some version of it
The
going on.
hustle.
Yeah, the hustle is always there.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
that kind of ambition is important?
It depends what you want, I guess. I do have some admiration for people who are really good at that kind of hustle, because I'm I don't think I really know how to do it, and it is a skill, and
Mm.
I think it is a kind of a form of intelligence, right? Like the people who know how to schmooze and make connections and strike a chord, and all these things are like, they require a certain form of intelligence, and I do have some respect for it. It's important if what you want is this very concrete form of success, right? Um
Mm.
and yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wish I had a little more of it, honestly. Like maybe that would, yeah.
Yeah, I don't judge it. I don't knock it. Like, a few people didn't like, including our friend Freddie DeBoer, because he was mad because he felt like the game was rigged for Madeline Cash, and he was
Right.
like, "What a joke! What a hoax!" I don't like this idea of
What's
like
the
publish.
hoax? What's the hoax?
Who knows? I mean, they feel like publishing is rigged, which I don't know. Everything is rigged.
Everything is
to some
rigged.
degree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Human,
I'm
human,
sure it's
hu- human beings are rigged. We're rigging machines.
right. Yeah.
And
I saw people saying something similar about the band Geese. Have you listened to Geese at all?
no, I kept hearing about it, but I don't think I've ever heard a song by them.
I like them. I think they're great. But people were saying that they were not rigged, but they were like, Geese is an industry plant, is what people kept saying, and it was like, what you're actually saying is that they like have a good publicist. Like that's
Yeah.
what it
Yes,
is.
that's
And
what it boils down to.
Right. Like, so I'm assuming this author also has like a really good public, and how she found the publicist and how she knew to connect with, whatever. I'm sure she has certain resources at her disposal, which is like, yeah, we can sit here like resenting that, I guess, but what good does that really do?
And it's okay to be a little envious, It's like,
Sure. No, it's human.
she had some success, and you want that success, and you don't have it, and that's fine,
But then on the flip side comes all the scrutiny and all the people who are really itching to then say, this is a crock of shit in this book. I mean, I saw like a really this really exacting like review on Substack of this book, Lost Lambs, where the guy is like sentence by sentence, like, well, this is
I saw that,
yeah, like this is a bad sentence and like whatever. And I'm like, woo, I don't know how I would feel about that level of like magnifying glass held up to each sentence, like that's brutal, but that's what is going to be invited when you're getting that level of publicity, right?
Yeah.
So are you up for that too? Like, it's not, there are trade-offs there.
And how I view it is like, best case scenario, she reads those criticisms and she writes a better book, and then maybe she writes a very good book.
Yeah.
She's 20 whatever years old. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like, maybe she has that artistic ambition and it's not quite developed, and she just had these connections. I think she worked or interned for these different publishers or something, and so she knew these people. I don't blame her. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
You know what we say?
It's admirable in the ways you say.
In the Long Island accent, you go, good for her. Good for her.
Good for her.
Good for him.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Good for her.
I'm happy for you.
Guffuha. Good for her.
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's people get too maybe they don't realize they're envious or something, but people get too sort of defensive about it.
Yeah.
And I just hope she writes a great book. I don't think I'm going to
Perhaps she
read.
will.
I'm not going to read the Nat one, whatever it's called, Lost Lambs.
Yeah,
I read the first page and it was like Nat this, Nat that, whatever, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm just this. I didn't like the. But like that's a person's first book, like whatever.
Right.
Like I think you put yourself out there, and that's the job. That's the job for the first attack is to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that's what she did. So let's see what she does next time.
Right.
Maybe I'll read that one.
Maybe.
And maybe we'll like it.
Maybe.
I mean, the thing is, we don't know what the future holds. In 40 years, we might be like, I read Madeline Cash when she first came out, and I was amazed by her early works.
Well, when no one's reading or writing anymore, I guess that'll be all we have, according to the Atlantic. So.
Hey, I'm learning. As we're doing more episodes, I'm learning. I'm weirdly more optimistic than you are about things, and it just goes back to that northerner. You're not Southern. I'm in the South. And
you're in the South. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I'm in the South.
I don't know.
I guess I have this soft spot for like, maybe it'll be okay. It'll work out. Maybe she's a great writer.
I also very much want to believe that. I do think that I would I want to be the sort of person who believes that.
Yeah. Could happen.
Yeah.
Could happen. I just mean, ultimately, ambition, I don't blame it. I think it's good.
Yeah.
But the people who really have a right to be ambitious, like a Philip Roth,
Yeah.
That's where the gold is, because these are serious readers, serious writers who from the start showed great ability and talent and matched that with just an insane level of career control. Like in Lawrenson's very famous by now book forum piece called The Vying Animal, he says everyone should read Roth's biography by Blake Bailey, which I agree with. Great book. Poor Blake Bailey got canceled.
Big time canceled.
Yep. And Lawrenson writes, it's a very readable biography, which young writers are well advised to consult as a blueprint for enduring literary stardom. Its lessons include: never marry, have no children, lawyer up, keep tight control of your cover designs, listen to the critics while scorning them publicly. When it comes to publishers, follow the money. Never give a minute to a hostile interviewer. Avoid unflattering photographers. Figure out what you're good at and keep doing it book after book with just enough variation to keep them guessing. Sell out your friends. Sell out your family. Sell out your lovers. Sell out yourself. Keep going until every younger writer can be called your imitator. Don't stop till all your enemies are dead.
Yeah. That's the end of the piece, right? It's so good.
Yeah.
It's a great piece.
Yeah.
And I've seen him.
There you go.
I've seen him say like that when he talks about careerism and something about how the dominant mode of writers today is careerism, right? As opposed to any other kind of like style or school of thought or whatever, it's careerism. But I don't know if anyone's doing it as well as Philip Roth did.
No. And what do you think is like, well, because I feel like we're missing this first kind of ambition you and I were talking about, the artistic ambition, where you're just completely devoted in a total existential way to throwing your soul into this pit and being totally hubristic and blindly devoted to your craft, your work, what you're trying to do, what you have to say, and not really giving a shit.
Yep.
But it feels like in a world populated by vying animals, and where careerism is the dominant mode, it feels like we're missing a little bit of that other kind of like artistic devotion. Yeah,
I think that's exactly right. Because it's I don't know. I mean, I've often thought like, man, I wish I was like a touch more obsessive. I could use a touch more of that myself, because there are like just a lot of other things that I enjoy devoting myself to. I mean, in addition to my writing, And sometimes I think I could just, if I could just turn up the dial on the ambition, obsession, a teeny bit, that might be good. Just a teeny bit. I have a little bit of, I don't think it's quite enough. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is
Is something?
perhaps, yeah.
Do you think something's stopping you, or is you just like it's not that important to you, or
It is very
is there other
important.
things you're working on that we don't know about? Or
Well, it's very important to me, but I'm also the parent to a young child, and I teach. My teaching is important to me. My
sure,
friendships are really important to me. My family,
you're never gonna make it, kid. You're too sensitive.
I think
I'm just kidding.
maybe I don't know. Maybe I should be cutting people off and just,
Yeah,
you
look,
know, it's hard for me to say,
listen
like,
to Lawrence and keep going until everyone can call you. You can call them your imitator, and don't stop till your enemies are dead.
I mean, like a friend invites me out, like it's very hard for me to say no. I'm going to stay home and work on my book. It's hard. That's hard for me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're extremely talented, and I do think if you stopped going out and drinking all the time, going to shows about funny gays, maybe you could get more work done, Alana. No, I'm just.
But that was very inspiring. That show was very inspiring to me. So, okay, but on the topic of artistic ambition, that is so much what Can I Be Frank is about, and how what Frank Maya wanted for himself, what he was hoping for himself, and Morgan Bassicus with what they want, right? And so the show is so funny, and it's okay, so it's an off-Broadway show, and you never know, right, like what you're walking into. And I've gone to some pretty bizarre stuff, and it begins with Morgan Bassicus doing this bit from a Frank Maya show that's like really big, over, like dramatic, like intense, like comes out like guns blazing. And Jeanette and I look at each other and we're like, oh God, what are we in for? And then Morgan immediately pulls back and goes, oh, I'm sorry. That was too much. I came in too hot. And like starts kind of making fun of it. And it was, and then so the whole show is kind of like that. It's like really like self-aware, and this exploration of like artistic influence and artistic ambition, and you're laughing your ass off up until the very end, when it becomes about how Frank Maya came so close to it and then died just before, sort of the chance to live with AIDS, right? Was like possible. And so then it's fucking
so he
devastating.
Had an opportunity to have a show or go on Letterman or something, or what was it? Because back then going on Letterman was like life-changing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on He had some kind of TV special, a stand-up special, and he was, I think, the first out gay comedian to have that, to like just be on like a special on broadcast television. I'm sure there was a lot of gay comedians who had done this, but they were closeted, right? Like, but to be out the way he was at that time on TV, right? And he wanted to reach everybody. So
and isn't that amazing? The 90s, you kind of think the free will in the 90s.
It's not like, I think it was like ago. 87. I think it was like 87 or something that this happened. So, I mean, we say it's not that long ago. I mean, it's 40 years. It's 40 years
basically
ago.
Our entire lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last century. The kids call it the 1900s.
I know. It's crazy.
I'm like, don't ever say that to me again.
Yeah.
The 1900s.
But there's some I'm going to butcher. I'm not going to try to quote it, but Morgan Bassicus does this bit at some point in the show about like, like making more people aware about Frank and like how amazing he was, and like, and then if people start noticing me too and get curious about my work, well, that's fine. I won't mind that, So it's very like, the whole thing is like so self-aware in that way, and so funny about being an artist who wants people to see them and like them and be famous and like, and successful, and like
yeah.
And at one point
it is kind of a no it is kind of a tortured existence, however you look at it, whether you're a tortured genius poet, like Rimbaud, who
Mm-hmm.
is getting high on wormwood all the time, and then
Mm-hmm.
ran away from France to be an arms dealer in North Africa after writing sort of you know
This
once in a
is the way.
lifetime books
This
of
is the way it's
poetry.
gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you're just kind of somebody who just kind of wants to make a living, get by as a writer.
Yeah.
You're always, there's this self-torture aspect to it. Maybe we're all just kind of self-torture addicts. We'd rather just beat ourselves over the head, and as Hemingway said, just go to the writing desk and hit your head against the wall until you bleed. Maybe
That's exactly
what
how
we're really after.
I've described it many times, is just beating my head against the wall. Like,
Yeah.
that is what it feels like. So I guess we must be drawn to it in some way.
Self-abuse.
Some masochism, I guess. I don't know. Or else
Yeah.
we're just not good at anything else. I don't know. But I feel like this is starting to get into the like, oh, what's my art? I don't know how to do it. I'm called to it. I don't know how to do anything else. It's obnoxious, right? Like, it's obnoxious.
It is. It is. But self-loathing makes me think of a little bit how I felt about Vincenzo Latronico's book, Perfection.
Okay.
Have you read this?
Funny, you read this book, you should mention it. I just read this book. That's so weird that we both read this book.
It's so odd.
What a coincidence.
What are the chances?
Yeah. So how does it bring up self-loathing for you?
I'll talk about that in a second, but why don't you talk about Perfection for a minute? Give people sort of the rundown how you feel about it, and then I'll talk about the inspiration for Perfection.
So Perfection is, I suppose, a novella. It's a pretty short book, and it's about a couple, an expat creative class couple living in Berlin. And I thought it was very accurate in capturing a certain way of living with which indeed. I am somewhat familiar. Have never been to Berlin, but I am familiar with the Berlin scene, the Berlin expat scene. But I think also what Latronico is, one of the things he's getting at in this book, is that it's not Berlin specific. At one point, the couple, they kind of feel like they're running out of steam in Berlin. They need a change. They need to shake things up, energize. And they go to Lisbon, and they find that everything feels exactly the same in Lisbon as it did in Berlin. I think there's some line about like, the cafes had the same brand of oat milk, right? So there's a lot in this book that was like, is kind of like about this flattening of culture, about the forces of globalization, about the importance of aesthetics and appearance and image above all else. And I felt that beneath its seemingly, kind of cool surface, it was actually a very angry book. And that aspect of it really spoke to me. I guess because I'm also angry.
Well, you hide it really well. Jeez.
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm angry too.
Woo! Furious.
Laugh through your anger.
Yeah, I mean,
grin and bear it. Smile and cry at the same time. All of us. We're all in pain, Alana.
Oh,
we're all angry.
I know, everyone is. But yeah, so I don't know. Did I do that justice? What did you think?
Yeah, you had mentioned this before. Your sense that there was an undercurrent of anger in the book, and I get that.
Yeah.
My takeaway was a sense of real self-loathing, because this guy, Vincenzo Latronico, he did all this stuff. He moved. He was Italian. He moved to Berlin in the early 2000s. He was a translator. He was way more involved in social movements and stuff, the immigrant issues in Berlin and other things. I think, he is a product of like the late 90s period of the battle in Seattle, WTO protests. Ended up producing, I think all those people ended up producing the Occupy movement, and then the Bernie Sanders campaigns.
Hmm.
And he talks about this in interviews. And, you know, there's so much intimate detail, including sexual conduct.
Yes.
That I have to
that was
think.
our favorite part, actually. The line where there's this, like, I'm trying to remember what the buildup is.
It's a
But
paragraph long build up about their sex life, and then
no, it's not. It's not even. Well, it's not really about their sex life. It's like,
here I found it. The sense from that about the anger, I found the paragraph.
yeah,
It's kind of long, but it starts with their love grew deeper every day. They were lovers, partners, best friends. The connection they first felt at university had only strengthened over the course of their foreign adventures. They had a joint Volksbank account, but separate Netflix profiles, although the algorithm suggested the same shows for both of them. Either of them could choose anything in their joint behalf. They would fight over silly things, random social media storms, a form they were supposed to fill in. Every other Sunday, they would clean the apartment while listening to old Eurovision songs. They never doubted they would grow old together. The sex was infrequent and bad. It's like, oh, like when you read that, you read through all that, you're like, oh, these poor people. And then it's like, boom, it's like hit in the face.
yeah.
And that's kind of how the book is. He's very, just so people know, if you haven't read the book. By the way, I think everyone should read the book. I think it's a necessary read because it gives you a window into a whole class of people.
Yes.
That kind of peaked maybe in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And I would say, in fact, I think we're hearing from these people because these are the people who are writing a lot of these novels that we don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this class, this group of people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a huge number of people, and I've had my own experiences with this kind of lifestyle. Didn't move to Berlin, didn't do a lot of this stuff, but like I understand where he's coming from. But he really digs into them. You know, he talks about their failures in the bedroom, their failures in their careers, their failures to sort of prioritize their principles. They're kind of phony. But they're also, you know, the first thing I thought of when you said that you felt anger in the book, which is there, was that I actually felt he was very sympathetic to Anna and Tom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's because I think he was these people and he knew these people. And he was trying to give us a vision of like the working, these weren't artists, but they were
they're what we call what you hear people call creative class. Like they seem to be like web designers / graphic designers / programmers / you know, like it's sort of amorphous what exactly they're like designing things for a boutique hotel chain. You know, it's creative class.
The laptop class.
Yes, exactly.
The,
email
the
jobs.
roving laptop class.
Yeah.
Email jobs. But they're different because they well, let me put it this way. There was a major inspiration for this novel. In fact, probably the only inspiration for this novel was a book called Things, published by Georges Perec in 1965. Now, this book, Things, was a kind of revelation at the time. It was immediately very, very popular throughout France because it was new. This thing that he did with this sort of creating these two archetypes who are representative of a kind of class, and it's almost like there's a third character in the book, and it's these historical forces that are kind of producing these people. But his thing is advertising. He was talking about advertising, mass media advertising. Now, it would be impossible for us to get back into the mindset of people before, say, the 1920s. But it really was a kind of generational transformation of how we feel about ourselves, how we look at the world. Because up to mass media and mass advertising, the priorities and goals and lifestyle was just totally different. And a guy named Edward Bernays wrote a little tiny book called Propaganda, which was not a term of abuse back in the day. It just meant advertising in the 1920s. Mm-hmm. So he writes this book that more or less means advertising. Bernays, by the way, is the cousin of Freud, which is kind of interesting.
Oh.
Everyone should read it because in it, he talks about how you sell things. And it's not, oh, look at this great product. It's shiny and new. It's wonderful and it's useful and it's cheap. And you're going to love it. It's what he says is you have to sell them on an idea, to sell them on a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You have to make them feel that something is missing. And the example he gives is
creating a need, creating a sense
creating
of
the need.
need. Yeah.
The old timey example he gives in the book is piano rooms. So he was hired to sell pianos. How do you sell a big, expensive, huge, gigantic, basically piece of furniture? What he did was he sold builders and families on the idea of a piano room. If you don't have a piano room, you're not in a certain class. You're not,
Right.
if you're struggling to get ahead and um, competing with your neighbors, you want to have a piano room in your house. And so this is how he builds the need for pianos, is having a piano room. Because where else are you going to put your piano, right?
Right. Of course.
This is a shift sort of away from who we were as sort of a species, as human beings, and a new way of viewing the world and yourself. And so when he wrote this book in 65, it spoke to a lot of people. The two characters in the book are named Jerome and Sylvie, and they're very similarly sort of wandering, wanting things, not really achieving anything, not sure what's wrong with their lives. But it's way more. First of all, the writing, in my view, is much better. It's just much more beautifully written. It's a denser book. It's a bit longer, and there's more to sort of chew on in the book. What Latronico does, in my view, is he writes perfection, but he switches out advertising for the internet. So it's like, now we have the internet, and that's basically going to be advertising. And so he really goes, and he admits this in interviews, he goes point by point, section by section. And you know how the last section in the book is in the future tense? It's the same thing in Parek's things. The way the book opens is the way Parek opens is the way Latronico opens. It's this couple, they're going through this stuff. But I actually felt closer and more empathetic with Anna and Tom, because it felt like Latronico had a kind of, it felt like he had a kind of heart for these people. And when you sort of identify with someone, your feelings come out, and it feels like his frustration in trying to achieve the things he was trying to achieve in terms of political activism, in terms of art, it was a struggle for him, and he saw this painful turn society took, and he talks openly about all these social movements that he was a part of, and I think it produced a kind of a bit of shame and kind of a self-loathing, as well as a kind of like concern for this class of people, because I didn't, I kind of had a little bit more contempt for Jerome and Sylvie in things, because they really were about things. Like there's lists and lists of objects in the book. Like in Parek's book, it's just like he names everything, and they go to like an agricultural field, and he'll name all the different items they use to like sow and reap their wheat. And then they go to Tunisia for a while, and he's listing all the stuff in the markets, and he's listing all the just every single thing is like things. It's very sort of tight and comprehensive in that way. But because Latronico is like doing this switch where he's switching out this mass advertising for just the internet, it disjoints the book a little bit and doesn't quite function in the way that the Parek does.
Interesting.
I think though Latronico's book, everyone should read it, because it's just a picture window into this class of people.
And I definitely there were plenty of things I recognized in myself. I'm not sure. Like and I did feel for these characters, even though we really don't get close to them at all. It's a very zoomed out kind of perspective on them. But that makes it so much clearer to you, the reader, why like later in the book they leave Berlin, and they're like, oh, maybe we can become digital nomads, and they're trying to like, they think they're gonna find something, and they just don't understand the source of this deep emptiness that they're feeling, and like we do, right? But but you feel for them, and their emptiness is like not, I don't know, it's something that if you're at all in this class or near to it, I'm sure you've felt too, anyone who reads this book, right? Like that just has to do with chasing things you've seen, right? And been made to feel that you should want or need for
Hmm.
a good life, and that comes from where, right? Like it comes from this amorphous cloud from the internet, right? It's eerie, it's eerie, and it's really, he captures it really well here. I think that's what that's what I mean when I say I think that's what he's angry about, not necessarily at Anna and Tom, right? They're just sort of
Hmm. Hmm.
caught up in this because they're human, right? But I think he's more angry at these larger forces, um
Yeah.
and that are
Yeah.
just so also like heartless. There is this one chapter in the book that's about the migrant crisis in Germany, and
Yeah.
Anna and Tom make this very kind of like feeble attempt to do something,
Hmm.
but what can they do? There's nothing they can do, and they quickly realize that, and sort of give up. And then, right, I think that's sort of what ends up precipitating this like awareness of emptiness within them, like that they're not,
Jeez.
it's before that they're just enjoying their like plants and their reclaimed wooden furniture and their and their typefaces and going to the clubs and like whatever. And they're also getting
Yeah.
older, right? Then they also get older. By the end of the book they're pushing 40 and they're still doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Parek's book ends with a quote from Marx. I believe Parek was a Marxist.
Okay.
And his quote from Marx was, "The means is as much part of the truth as the result. The quest for truth must itself be true. The true quest is the unfurling of a truth whose different parts combine in the result."
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So you get a sense really of, and I think it's true, what and how you do things is as much a part of who and what you are and where you end up, as anything else.
Yeah.
And I did kind of, in the end, I personally felt sad for Sylvie and Jerome and Anna and Tom, and their timidity and their lame sex and their like striving for something to
Yeah.
look like something.
To look like
Um,
something. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, Perfection was not inspired by Perec. It's basically an update of the book.
That's it. Yeah. I
He even
wonder,
he,
like,
he even talks yeah he even talks about reading the Perec and like making notes like, oh, this can be
right.
whole bean coffee, and this object from things can be Instagram or whatever, and
Right.
he's making a direct line.
What do you think of that? I
So
mean, I'm curious what has he published other books? I'm curious what those are like.
he was a translator, so he was
Oh,
translating, I think, German and Italian and maybe
I see.
English,
Yeah.
and he struggled to write this book, he said, for 10 years
Wow.
because he was trying to do like a realist novel and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working. And
Mm-hmm.
then he came across the Perec, and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what I have to
This
do.
is it. Wow.
I have a
Okay.
little I have a little bit of like, I'm a little scandalized by that personally, because I'm like, I'm never just going to rewrite somebody else's book. That's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah. Well, it's like a
But I think he
remake.
was
It's
really
like
trying
it's
to,
a
yeah.
remake, basically.
Yeah. It's an old
Right?
IP, and he's like doing a reboot.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, that doesn't sit well with me, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not what I'd be interested in doing as a writer, but the book has really struck a chord. I guess we're like a little bit late because I feel like I saw people talking about it when it first came out, and it seemed pretty
Hmm.
polarizing. Um
It was, yeah. There were
yeah.
people who came down one side or the other. I'm definitely pro Latronico. I think
Yeah.
it's a necessary book to read.
Yeah.
I just think the Perec is so much more profound and better.
Hmm.
Um, but I am an insufferable bastard. So keep
Yeah, that's
that
that
in
of
mind.
course. You're like I knew this band before anyone else did. That's
I was such a music snob as a kid. Oh man,
Of course you were.
I
I
have to
was
hear
too.
myself back then.
I was talking about insufferable. I was so annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was really
I did
annoying.
not like anything the other kids were listening to.
Of
Give
course
them shit
not.
all the time.
The contrarian impulse. obviously has stayed with us. I don't think it's a bad thing,
Yeah.
actually. You know?
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
There should be more of it. Being a sellout was a bad thing. Now it's very much accepted.
No, now it's what you're
But
supposed to do. Now it's yeah.
yeah, speaking of ambition, yeah. But real quickly,
Yes.
so Perec, if people are interested in reading Perec, he was part of a group called Ulipo, Ouvroir de Littérature Potentielle, which means like workshop or house of possible literatures. And it was this group of guys who did all kinds of crazy shit. They would do crazy things like write an entire novel without the letter E.
Without the letter E, famously, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and other things of this nature. And this guy, Raymond Queneau, wrote this book called Exercises in Style. And it is a super fun, funny, easy reading book where he does 200 versions of the same story, same one-page story. And they're all different kind of perspectives and styles and approaches. And if you'd like to dip your fingers into Ulipo, maybe start with a Raymond Queneau or a George Perec. Things, a story of the 60s, the book is actually called.
I started reading Exercises in Style, and I
Oh, yeah?
it's very funny. It's very
It
it's
is
very
hilarious.
funny. Yes, it's the same story, which is like an incredibly mundane story,
Mm-hmm.
told every possible way that it could be told. I was skipping ahead. I read like 60 pages of it the other night, and then I was skipping ahead, and there I saw musical
Yeah.
notation, I saw poetry, I saw, he does like all kinds of puns and wordplay and stuff with it. It's really funny. It's really funny. And like just a kind of display of I think kind of a display of power too, right? Like I can do this
Oh, what do you mean?
just I can tell a story every way you can imagine. Any way you could possibly think of, I can do it. Like I'm not locked into one kind of voice or style or mode, or I can do it all. I felt,
absolutely.
and I was delighted, and I was delighted by it. I have a Raymond Queneau. I don't even know where this is from. I just came across it and I liked it. I have a Raymond Queneau quote in my Great Lines doc. And
what's the quote?
The world is not what it seems, but it isn't anything else either.
Yeah, I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of artistic ambition there, that's great.
Yeah.
And I just when you it's kind of fun. It's almost like it's something you can put, I don't know, in your bathroom or something to amuse people, because you just open it up and it's like every story is like 1 or 2 pages. This one is exclamations. It's just about a guy who gets on a bus and he loses a button. Exclamations is, goodness, 12 o'clock, time for the bus. What a lot of people. It's just a bunch of exclamations. But it's also instructive because he goes through all these different like forms, literary forms. Like you learn about things like synchisis.
Yeah, I had to look that up. I had no idea what that was.
Homeoptetes. Obviously, onomatopoeia. That's one everybody knows. But yeah, these different sort of perichesis. So you learn what those would mean, and I don't know. It's kind of instructive in that way. It was kind of a fun read also for that reason.
And some of it really is kind of like dad humor, actually. Now that I think
absolutely,
like dad humor. Yeah, it is kind of the perfect bathroom reading. But no one reads books in the bathroom anymore, right? Everyone just looks at their phone when they're in the bathroom now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we all
I might be the last bathroom reader.
Oh,
my grandfather. Talk about bathroom reader. That guy had a little tiny bathroom, and it was half World War II books.
That's
literally amazing. Stacked to the ceiling.
Incredible.
And he'd be in there for like 2 hours just reading about World War II.
That's what men do. That's what men do. That's what men spend so long in the bathroom. It's incredible. It's really funny. Actually, it reminds me.
Or getaway.
The guys just need a getaway. This reminds me, this is so unrelated, but like dads, like specifically dads who just like need to get away. I think now they kind of just go sit on the toilet and scroll. But I remember years ago, it was during COVID, and my husband and I took an off-season trip to the Hamptons. We went to the Hamptons in like March because everything's super cheap there. And we drove to the beach one morning. And so this is at the height of COVID. You can't really go anywhere. So we drove we're going to take a walk on the beach. And we get to the beach And like sitting in the parking lot, there were just like dozens of cars scattered around the parking lot of dudes, middle-aged dudes, just sitting in their cars at the beach parking lot reading the newspaper. And we were like, these are dads who needed to get the fuck out of their house. And they all came here. They all came here. It was so funny.
That's so funny.
It was like
The
gathering
paper
of dads.
newspaper?
They were reading a paper newspaper behind, just
Wow.
sitting parked in the beach parking lot. They just needed to get out. Because, it was,
I love it.
I think this was like March, I want to say March 2021. So at least in the New York area, we were like back on lockdown at that point, because it
Yeah.
kicked off again. So they had nowhere
Right.
to go. The dads.
It's you know what? I feel for America's dads. Dads of America, I'm here for you. We've had 10,000 downloads. I want the next 10,000 to be dads.
All
I'm not going to give you
dads.
book recommendations.
Nothing but dads.
We're going to read the paper together, boys. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But speaking of your awesome Kuno quote, and was that Kuno quote in your Great Lines before you read this book?
Yeah, it
Or
was.
did you just put it in?
No, it was. I don't even know what it's from. I have no idea what book it's from. I stumbled across it. I was
Oh,
like,
that's so cool.
It just tickled me. I thought it was hilarious. So I was like, yeah, okay.
The world isn't what it seems, but it's nothing else either.
It isn't anything else either.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, he's right.
But so we like to do a little commonplace booking.
Yes.
And jotting in our Great Lines. Have you been jotting anything down in your Great Lines or commonplace book? Have you been reading any poetry?
Yes. So something that I've really enjoyed for quite some time. It's not really new, but I have this book, The Essential Haiku, and it was translated by this poet Robert Haas, and it's the haiku of Basho, Buson, and Issa. And Issa, Kobayashi Issa is my favorite of them. And so I love his haiku, and I have many of them written down in my Great Line stock. And he was, let's see, I'll read you a little bit from the explanation. 1763 to 1827. He has been described as a Whitman or a Neruda in miniature, probably because his poems teem with creaturely life, especially the life of the smallest creatures. He wrote hundreds of poems about fleas, flies, crickets, bedbugs, lice. His sensibility resembles that of Charles Dickens. The humor and this word. I have a mental block. Pathos? Pathos. Pathos?
Yeah.
Pathos?
I think either one's acceptable.
Which one?
I say pathos.
Okay, pathos.
That's what I say.
He had the humor and pathos, the sense of a childhood wound, the willingness to be silly and downright funny, and the fierceness about injustice. And so I really love Issa. He's my favorite haiku poet.
Very cool. I don't know enough about haikus. I just kind of know the form and I've heard a few with time. But,
yeah. And the 575 thing is not really true. Or it may be, it may really only, maybe it's true in Japanese, but when they're translated into English, it often doesn't break down that way.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm not good enough at Japanese to read his haiku in Japanese, but in English, they are not 575. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So, but before we log off here, I want to give you a line from my book of Great Lines from Ted Hughes, where he said, "There aches through my dull head the bellowing of the maggot."
Nice.
The bellowing of the maggot. Wow, I love that. Ted Hughes, also a very creaturely poet.
We should at some point talk about Ted Hughes because we both love Ted Hughes.
I love Ted Hughes.
Regardless, I don't care what people say, but he's really unpopular with a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, we should do, just to piss them off, the Platholites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great poet. who
He's a
doesn't get
great
his due
poet.
in America. I
No,
wrote
he
an
doesn't.
article about him
He
for
does
that
not.
reason.
Yeah, I loved
But
your
really
article
great
about
poet.
him. I loved your article about him. It was great. Yeah, I love Ted Hughes.
But okay, thank you for telling me about Kobayashi Isa. And we'd like to thank our listeners and our team, TNA Productions and the Literarian Media, Arthur Duffy and Kurt Kilpatrick, and our producer, Eric Janikis. And now a reading of Haiku by Kobayashi Isa, translated by Robert Haas.
Okay, I'm going to read a few until I run out of steam. Here we go. New Year's Day. Everything is in blossom. I feel about average. What a strange thing to be alive beneath cherry blossoms. In this world, we walk on the roof of hell, gazing at flowers. Seen through a telescope, 10 cents worth of fog. Approaching my village. Don't know about the people, but all the scarecrows are crooked. Even with insects, some can sing, some can't. All the time I pray to Buddha, I keep on killing mosquitoes. The prostitute's shack at the edge of town in the autumn wind. Washing the saucepans, the moon glows on her hands in the shallow river. Okay, I'm skipping ahead. I'm reading this in a book, old school. Okay, this was written on his 50th birthday. From now on, it's all clear profit every sky. Writing shit about new snow for the rich is not art. Mother I never knew. Every time I see the ocean, every time. The world of dew is the world of dew. And yet. Okay, last one. This is his death poem. So, Japanese haiku poets and monks, Japanese Buddhist monks, also wrote haiku when they were on the verge of death. A bath when you're born, a bath when you die. How stupid.